feel it buzzing. No, I can't do nothing. I can hear the trumpets, flowers on the coffin. Change is coming. Change is coming. I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it. Change is coming. You can fight it if you want, but some wars you just can't win. Keep on punching underwater, but you'll never hit a thing. Yeah. Now all my blood is rushing. Here's the repercussion. Yeah. It's like all of a sudden someone pushed a button. Change is coming. Yeah, change is coming. I'm feeling it, I'm feeling it. Change is coming. I got a feeling, I believe I can't contain it, and it's taking over me. The sun is shining, I'm flying, got a good thing on repeat. No, I can't hide it. There's nothing if I see how. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, no. And it makes me happy, with a smile from cheek to cheek and feeling fancy. That's where I'm gonna be, 'cause now I'm shining, I'm hiding. I got a good thing on repeat, no, I can't hide it. And there's nothing if I sleep on. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no. Anything can happen, anything can happen, anything can happen, yeah, anything, yeah, anything, yeah, anything can happen, anything can happen, anything can happen, yeah, anything, yeah, I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no. I got all the magic in me. It ain't never gonna leave, ain't never gonna leave, no.
Yo!
Yo!
What's up, everyone? How is it going? Happy Saturday for everyone in the chat. The chat is lively as always, and we have a special guest today, Mr. Marco Russo from SQLBI. Marco, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for getting me today as a guest.
Yeah. Always happy to have you and help answer folks' questions and all that good stuff. So if you are not familiar with Marco or Alberto Ferrari, they both make up the duo over at SQLBI. So go check out SQLBI.com. Not right now, after the stream. And they've got a lot of great content, lots of great trainings. You may have noticed they've done a bunch of books. So they've, DAX patterns and, definitive guide to DAX. You can go check out all those great things. Also DAXpatterns.com, just lots of great content and everything to get you going. And so definitely go check that out. Marco, always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
So
Thank you.
So
Adam.
somebody pointed out in the chat, all black shirts.
Oh,
That was not planned.
that was not
That
planned.
was not planned.
Yeah, it was not.
that was not
It
planned.
was not planned.
Now, what would have been more funny is if we were all wearing the same shirt and we didn't plan it.
Yeah.
That would have been more of a coincidence. So, yeah. So awesome. So everyone in the chat, if you are new to the live stream or just new to Guy in a Cube in general, put hashtag new in the chat. We always love seeing the new faces. I'm curious if having Marco here maybe brought in some other new folks as well. So we typically see a lot of new faces here on the Saturday morning live streams. I always love it. Also, shout out to the members of Guy in a Cube. You help us do what we do here on the channel. So if you see folks with the green name or the Guy in a Cube logo next to them, they are the members of Guy in a Cube. You can check out the link on the screen or hit the join button down below to learn more about that. No commitment required, just a big thank you from our end of helping support what we do here. Also, FYI, this is going to be an open chat the whole stream, so we are not going to have a members only chat at the halfway mark. So members, get your questions in just with everyone else right now. So get it loaded up. We've already got some questions in the queue. So be sure to partake in that. Speaking of questions, get your question in, Q colon in front of it to get it queued up. If there's no Q colon, your question doesn't get queued. That's how this works. We have a 3 strikes rule here on Guy in a Cube. Please do not spam the chat. If you do spam the chat, the Chatmaster C or one of our lovely moderators, not including Patrick, will put you in a timeout. And so don't do it. Also, I'm going to guess Marco's not going to do it either. So that's okay. But yeah, one time's all you need. I guarantee you we're probably not going to get through all the questions. So, and that's okay. But come back next time and we'll try again. All right. Let's see who is. Wow, there's a lot of new folks.
Today.
Let's see here. Yeah. Where is? So we've got Ryan is new. Anders is new. Zephy, hope I pronounced that right, is new. Mark is not new. No. Scott is new. Mayank is new. G. Paul Avi is new. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, Matthias, keep it clean, buddy. Keep it clean. Yeah, awesome. I love Sang Hyung Sun is new also. Welcome. Hassan is new. Man, love seeing all of that. That is amazing. It's always amazes me all the folks that come and join, and also I'm just gonna call out. I do a lot, but I see Heidi and then I think New BI also mentioned they're from they're both from Australia. I think there's some other folks from Australia as well.
Somebody just posted Scott.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, Scott. Yeah, welcome, man. That's bananas. Being in Australia right now because you're borderline. Are you in Sunday yet, or you're just close? I know it's one of the two. So Vishala's new. Katerina is new. Welcome. Man, that's bananas. I try. Raghu is new.
With these names,
I try with the names. I'm sure I mess up a bunch of them, but yeah. Oh yeah, it's Sunday morning, and so it's 12:35 a.m. in Australia. That's insane. Kudos to you, though. That is amazing. I appreciate it.
I've been in Australia in September.
Yeah. So you normally go for a little bit. Your kids end up. Don't they do some school over there too?
This now is different. We did this in 2018 and 2019, and then pandemic came. But
yeah.
But now I will be back after 2019. Yeah.
Nice, amazing. All right, Marco, are you ready?
I hope so. Patrick, are you ready? Because you need a lot of bucks,
Yeah.
Every question, every question.
Oh, we got the tip jar ready. We got the tip jar ready. All right.
Yeah.
All right, here we go.
For those that are new, the idea is that every time the answer to a question starts with "it depends," and Patrick has to put $1 into the jar. Yeah.
This is going to happen a lot, Patrick. Kevin, are you ready?
Yeah.
I see Kevin's here. So Chewy did a good job last week. I'll just say that.
Marco, I went and got
Okay, let's start.
41s. I got 41, so hopefully that'll cover this hour. Let's see.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to the questions. Let's do it. All right, Matthias, first up. And Patrick and I were talking about this a little bit before you joined us this morning, Marco. So Matthias says, Marco, my report's performance gets poor when I use distinct count in the measure sales per product over a huge fact table. Why is that? And what alternatives do you suggest?
Patrick, are you ready? Are you
Here
hot?
it comes. Matthias, queuing it up.
The first answer is, it depends. It depends. So
that's one.
We have an article describing how to, sometimes you can just change the DAX code and use some X with distinct, comma 1. Sometimes it is faster. But actually, it is faster because it does a operation using a different approach that in theory should be slower. And the thing is that the distinct count is actually a very heavy operation, and the real issue is when it has to be repeated for every cell you have in the report. Now, this happens almost every time you have, for example, a many-to-many cardinality relationship or a bidirectional filter enabled, because those elements removes the ability to execute the code into using a single storage engine query. And the other thing that could damage the performance is the use of the time intelligence. And again, it's important to understand how many cells you have. So overall, distinct count is not bad, but when you have a combination of a large fact table, many cells in the report, maybe many cells that you don't see, but that you only see the first 20 rows in a 2,000 rows of customers of something, and for each one you ask the distinct count, and you are mixing time intelligence, bidirectional filters, or many-to-many cardinality relationship, then performance are going to be very bad. Sometimes some X distinct could be better, but if you have a lot of unique values in the column, not much.
Yep. And I posted the link to the article/video analyzing performance of distinct count in DAX. So definitely go check that out as well.
Yep.
All right. Cool. So Thomas says distinct count is always poor. I disagree. Yep. Sometimes it's good.
Oh.
That's why it depends.
It's very good. It could be better, but it's already very good.
Yes. All right.
Hey Marco, that is a nice mug you have there, my friend.
Wait, what's the
nice
I didn't
coffee
see it.
Cup, teacup,
what is it?
whatever you're using to drink your beverage out.
Lift it up.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a Starbucks Reserve. I don't know, roaster.
Let's see.
You got to put it kind of in front of you because you're kind of. There you go. There you go.
Nice.
All right, that's a Kodak moment right there, folks.
Yeah.
Grab a screenshot.
Yeah. Now if you can see the name, that's nice.
It's better than ours. That's what we'll say. All right. Data is king. Marco, which DAX function do you feel is the most underutilized? Ooh, I like this.
Oh, that's a good one.
Underutilized.
I'm going to go with percentile.exe.
No, come on. No.
I just picked a random one on the DAX.guide.
No, so probably, I can tell you, if an honest answer, probably calculate table. Many people use filter when you could use calculate table, and it would be much better. Yeah, I would say that.
Nice.
What I've been seeing a lot this week is people bringing in, instead of using use relationship, they're copying their dimension tables over and over, so they're going to have active relationships. And so I think use relationship. They don't use it enough. Maybe they just don't know about it, but anyway.
I know someone. Last night I was writing an article, and I started to create a very long and complex DAX code in the first draft. But then I realized that, come on, I can just use relationship here with a switch, with an if statement, and it was much better, much faster. Yeah.
Yep. Nice.
So let me ask you this. So somebody just posted something. Yeah, go ahead, Al. Go ahead.
No,
Al.
go.
You have it up.
Go.
So you said use calculate table instead of filter. Yeah. Can you elaborate just a little bit?
Yeah. When you manipulate a table, and usually you manipulate a table in, there are two cases where you could manipulate a table. One is when you create a measure, but you do this for a filter usually, or when you create a calculated table. Now for a calculated table, it's slower, who cares? It's just something that you run at refresh time. But in a measure, getting good performance is important. Now, if you have a complex filter condition that touches many columns, it's usually much faster if you express the same concept by using calculate table, applying single column filter in the calculate table. Sometimes it could be harder if you don't know the syntax, but actually it results in being faster, and it consumes less memory, and this is one of the reasons why it is faster. So I'm not saying that you have to use calculate table just because I said so. I'm just saying that I have seen many times filter with a complex, filter argument.
I would say in a given situation that someone's applying that, try both and look at the numbers and see what you get. Like, that's how you're gonna know. Like, that's the magic. All right, Chris Wagner coming in with a super chat. Chris, thank you. You did what Patrick used to do and called it user relationship. Use relationship. There's one R. One R. He used to say user relationship all the time, and I gave him crap about it. Now he doesn't say it. So.
No, it's great. Okay. I mean, user relationship is great. It's great. It is amazing. I created a junk dimension in a data warehouse recently for yes, no, because they had a lot of Boolean fields and they just wanted to say, choose yes, no, and they had duplicated that small little table multiple times, had inactive relationships. They couldn't put them on one visual. I'm like, well, let's just create the one that you commonly use yes, no for, connect it, make it active on that one, and then let's have inactive to it and just do use relationship.
Just bi-directional everything, man. That's fine.
No.
I kid.
Anyway, go ahead. We're taking away
I have seen the comment about is cross-filtered. I think that using is cross-filtered could be complex. Usually is filtered is way more effective because it gives you more control about what the user is doing. Is cross-filter could be the propagation of the filter. My experience, you have one is cross filter every 10 is filter, maybe less. Yeah. And they are not common to use, to be honest.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's go to the next one. There's a lot of questions, by the way.
Nice.
Got 2 pages worth so far. Okay. Let's see here. Same question here to optimize the distinct count function. I did use the SumX distinct. Oh no. Can we do more than that? Importing those will be a huge size.
So, okay, let me comment this.
Yeah.
The answer is no, and SumX distinct usually is slower in a few reports and faster in others. And so also for the same model, it could have different side effects. So it's an optimization we usually do for specific reports, but it's not that it's going fast. It's actually slower, but for a number of technical reasons, it could result in faster performance for a particular report because of the query plan that is generated. But if you have a lot of unique values in the column, you cannot get good performance.
So you're saying it depends?
It depends, of course.
It depends.
It depends.
There we go.
Yeah, there you go. Mark was right there too. I was just waiting. I was waiting for the moment, Mark.
No, you're right. You're right.
I got it.
Proactive on that. Yeah, more proactive.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
So before we go to the next question, I hate to go back to user relationship, but the comment you have up now about, calendar with multiple dates, and Chris, you're absolutely right. It applies to it. Yeah. And then at developer posted a comment about, hey, how does this work with dates? I put a link to a video that we have about role-playing dimensions where I talk about it. So you should go check that out. Yeah.
Okay. I couldn't find that one. Thomas suggests using silver dollars instead of dollar bills.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to hear the cling. Cling, 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 cling. Yeah. All right. There you go.
There you go.
Just get a penny and drop
Sound
that
effects,
in just to
man.
satisfy him. All right.
Pennies. I don't have any coins. Oh, yes, I do. Yes, I do.
Does anyone have any pennies?
You heard it. There it went.
Yeah, I heard it. It was nice. It was lovely. All right. Van Lessing. I often use matrix visual with, I need to read these questions before I post them. Matrix visuals with 5 to 10 complex measures. In the rows are material numbers, 5K to 30K, and then I do different sorting. Is the performance slow because this is just not a good use case?
No. Okay. Before I reply, please remember, Adam and Patrick are Microsoft employees. I'm not, so I have a level of freedom in my answer they don't have. The reason why this is slow, no, it doesn't depend.
It doesn't depend, Patrick.
Okay.
The reason, no.
All right.
The reason why it is slow is that even though in the matrix you can see in the screen only, let's say, 100 rows, if you're lucky, if you have a very big screen, the calculation of all the measures is made for the 30,000 key rows that you might potentially have. Even though you create a measure over, a filter over a measure, this could happen the same. So, but the real issue is that you actually see the first, 100 rows, but the calculation is internally computed for all the rows that you don't see. Even though those rows are not transferred to the report, lowering the amount of data that is transferred to the client, the internal calculation happens the same. So now, if you have 10 measures, each of those measures is relatively complex, you have an excessive calculation of numbers that are never displayed. And this is usually the biggest issue. I'm saying that it could be much better because there are a few things that Power BI could do in order to lower the amount of calculation to be displayed. So if you know that you have a certain order for the data, it would be better to compute only the measure for that order if you're ordering by that measure, and then compute the other, and only for the rows that are visible. This is not made by the engine today.
Great answer.
By Power BI.
Great answer. All right, one thing I didn't call out at the beginning, I should have. We will be prioritizing things around optimizations, DAX, data model, those types of things. So if there are like just general visual questions, I may skip those, and if we do have time at the end, we'll come back to those for filler. So just FYI. Okay. Let's see.
Wait.
What?
Why are we doing that? Oh, because Marco's here.
Marco's here. Wow. Marco's the visual guy, right? So.
Yeah, Marco.
Not bad.
This will be an interesting one. Let's see here. Paw Beaters got one where on-prem refresh of some measures stops on the published report but works fine in desktop version. Is there a place I can try to troubleshoot this? What does that mean by refresh of some measures?
Refresh of some measures stops on the published report but works fine in the desktop version.
The question is ambiguous because it could be. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry, Patrick.
No, go. You go, Marco. You go. Go.
No, I was trying to understand the question, but
there's some missing info here.
No, I don't understand the question, to be honest.
Yes.
Does it mean that it doesn't refresh the data set, or the measure is not updated in the screen when you just refresh the page and you don't see some measure? This could be because you have data in the cloud, in the published data set that is different from the data that you have in Power BI Desktop. But To be honest, I don't understand the question.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I would say is there's a context here of like, you don't refresh measures, you refresh the underlying data, right? So measures are run at runtime as you're executing items. And so to me, this goes back to maybe the data didn't get refreshed in the data set. And so you'll want to go in and maybe try and understand why that is or what's actually going on there. So, all right, cool. Let's see. So there is one that is not, it doesn't go into my rules, but I'll allow it because it's Alex. What toppings on the pizza, what toppings are on the pizza that the Lego guys are eating? 100% not pineapple. Not pineapple. Yeah, that's where Alex was going with that.
I could have laughed immediately. So, good answer.
No, absolutely not pineapple. Not pineapple. Sorry, Alex. All right. Here we go.
Not pineapple. Not mushrooms either.
See, Chris has got one. This is interesting. So on Contoso Power BI, measure that expresses total sales for product that have sales in exactly n months uses a disconnected table for the n months dimension. Need fast for large disco dimensions.
Disconnected dimension. Disconnected dimensions. Disconnected.
So
what if you use
yep.
No, go Marco. Go.
It seems a request for you want to filter the products that have a certain condition that is dynamic. So the steps are create a calculate statement with a filter. The filter should filter the products. You should filter the products, iterating product by product using a measure that computes the number of months where you have a sales in the period that you define. So there are 2 or 3 things that are missing in the question, to be honest, because there could be different interpretations. And the measure is probably the composition of 2, 3, 4 measures. But I don't remember if we have an article about that.
So it depends?
No, it just... No, sorry. No, it's not it depends. It's not,
no?
Yeah.
We have to clarify, so...
Yeah. I cannot... I mean, this should be a 10-minute, demo just for creating this, but technically it's just you need to create a filter in a calculate, the filter the product, and you have to create a measure that for each product provides the condition that you want to apply.
Yep, cool. All right, let's see here. When is the 2nd edition of your Optimizing DAX course coming out?
We're working on it. We're working on it, and hopefully by the end of the year.
Ooh.
Hopefully.
All right. Yeah. That clock is ticking, Marco.
Yeah.
The year is getting shorter.
I know. I know, but believe me, it's a lot of work. We are discovering a number of things. So it's the more you go down the rabbit hole, the more you discover, and it's going to be long. So, but
trust me, I know.
Yeah. All right, Sandeep's got a question here. How to generate a serial number in DAX?
If you need to create a sequence of number, there is a function called generate series, which generates a sequence. But if you want to create like a calculated column that generates a unique number for each, a unique sequential number for each row, you should use a rankx. Providing a sufficient number of arguments, which are the columns that you want to use in the sort order, so that you have a unique value for each row. The problem is that if the table doesn't have a primary key and you might have duplicated values, it's impossible to obtain different numbers for 2 rows that are identical. So you don't have a solution for that. To be honest, I will do this in Power Query, by the way.
Data is King put that in the chat also. Absolutely, and Fernando as well. So yeah, Power Query, don't do it in DAX. So
man, there's a lot of questions.
Yeah,
there's a lot of questions.
It's all right. Wow. It's good. It's what they came for. That's why Marco's here. All right. Let's see here. Just trying to make sure really quick here. Okay, so Thomas has got one. Is import faster than direct query? I think so. Thomas, you know this.
I think that Patrick can save the money. The answer is yes.
Yeah. Yes. In almost all cases, import will be faster.
Okay.
I want to spoil another. So another answer. If you want to ask, how can I optimize blah 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 in direct query? The answer is it's by design. It's slow by design. So what do you want to talk about? I'm just kidding.
Wait. But maybe we could.
Yeah.
It depends, right? It depends.
Why?
No.
It doesn't depend.
Well, I mean, if you have someone that is not very proficient with things they do in DAX or from a data modeling perspective, and they start pulling things in and do very bad things with import.
Yep.
No, let me say this. Patrick and I were mucking around with something, and I was absolutely trying to make the imported data set slow in comparison of direct query. I imported like 125 million rows, and I was trying to go bigger than that. And I'm like, come on, at some point I'm going to see some degradation. No, man, that thing was fast. It was fast.
I'm just stirring the pot.
I know exactly what to do to show a direct query example that is faster than the corresponding import mode. But first, I will not tell you.
Yes.
And second,
I know how to do it too, but like in a real world scenario, I would hope you wouldn't do that. So.
Yeah.
No, but there are cases. But the problem is that even though you could reach out a point where the direct query without aggregations, the direct query could be faster, but what you will discover that this comes out because you have a big machine for SQL Server, and it doesn't scale. So as soon as you have 10 users, you will see that it doesn't work.
So I will say though that so first off, Mason, I love seeing you in the chat. Thanks for being here, buddy. Yes, you are right. 125 million is small. I agree.
I agree.
When you're working on a demo for a conference though, and your time is money when you're trying to refresh the data in Power BI desktop, I'm not going bigger than that because it's going to take too long to refresh. But in terms of direct query, and yes, if it's too big to import, I would say there's different approaches there to layer it though, right? So we're going to look at aggregations. We're going to, and the reason we're going to look at aggregations, right, is we want that summarized data that's imported and cached so we can hit that and have it fast for the majority of cases. And then when you need to go to those detail rows, that's when you're going to hit direct query with the understanding that it's going to be slower than when you're hitting those ag tables that are a part of it. So.
But if the compressed model is not bigger than 300 gigs, and people is like, Power BI's model, you can have a 400 gig model. But if the compressed model is less than 300 gigs and you have a proper star schema and you've done everything to optimize the size of your model, it's never too big. It's never too big. Unless we're talking about 400 or 500 gig models, it's never too big for Power BI Premium. You just got to know what you're doing. And that's the bottom line.
Yeah. Amazing. All right, let's go. Where was I? I need to look at these questions while we're talking.
They're not stopping, man. They're not stopping. They're not stopping.
All right. Let's see here. Rafal's got one here. The Unified Star Schema by Francesco Papini and Bill Inman. Would this work well in Power BI? Any comments?
Can I only say no?
Yeah, sure.
I think you can say it depends, right?
No, if it's saying no, it doesn't depend.
No.
Well, I'm reading about it right now.
You just want to leave it at no, Marco?
Yes.
Okay.
I prefer not to comment further.
Okay. All right. Moving on. You've got your answer. No. Let's go. trying to find one that's not. There's a lot of slicer questions. Let's go with this one. JR, 4 pillar metrics, each with complex query logic published in a single data set. What is your strategy when asked to expose one of those metrics in another report with its own data set?
Oh, that's a good question. So I think that if I try to generalize, I try to repeat the question and to generalize this a little bit. This is not about the performance. This is about the semantic model. So let's say that we have a business where we define KPIs, and one of the KPI is not just A divided by B, but it's a longer formula for some reason. And this longer formula can be applied to different data set, assuming that you always have the same metrics behind. So you have a KPI, the KPI is applied on a few metrics, the metrics exist in different data sets, but the data sets are physically different databases. As of today, we don't have a way to share this measure in an easy way, because the binding of the measure is over the physical data model. So you could try to be creative, like creating like a Power BI template with this, and you change the connection with the Power BI template. But what you cannot generalize is the underlying assumption: I want to create a measure that will work with any model that has a set of metrics with this name or a few attributes. What you should use, or we should use to do this, is creating a sort of code generator that can generate the measure. So you store the measure in a format, which is the template, and from the template you generate the measure. This is what we try to do with the DAX template library, which today is only used by one tool, which is Bravo for Power BI, and it is used for creating the time intelligence measures that you can apply over the data table generated by Power BI. But if you take a look at the library can do more than that. You can actually create a template, and this template could be applied to any model where you can identify the metrics, so the parameters of the template, by applying attributes to the model. Problem is, we don't have a user interface. So you actually have the API, or let's say the library, to do this. You could, but you should use a tabular editor to apply the attributes to the underlying models. And then today you only have like a command line tool. No, not even a command line tool, but you could easily create a PowerShell command line tool that uses this library. So it's not user friendly. Longer term, I would like to have a better evolution of this library, but we're not there yet. So, but potentially that could be the longer term solution, because I don't believe that there is an easy way to actually share some part of the code from a data set, because you don't have generic enough information to bind that formula to other models. And yeah.
Cool. All right. All right, there was a super chat that came in, and I didn't mention it, so I will mention it now. So Alexander's channel says, what are your favorite visual add-ins, like get more visuals? I'm trying to find visuals that stand out other than the standard visuals in Power BI. maybe some of the OKViz visuals?
So, that's a nice question, but it's hard to answer. So
yeah.
I have a conflict of interest because, of course, we also run a small company that creates custom visuals. The name is OKViz, and we have a few custom visuals that now we are, improving. So in the next year, probably you will see more updates, and we actually are starting to. Actually, we already published, but we didn't promote it much. A new visual, which is Calendar Pro, which is a visual to display any sort of data through a calendar visualization with many different views. But in general, so I think that what is implicit in the question is what is more impactful for a report, usually for the charts. And for the charts, I would say that one of the standard charts you have in Power BI are not so amazing, right? So the default setting, because actually if you work on them, you can obtain something useful, something more visually compelling. There are several custom visuals. So actually, there are many companies that produce just charts that have more features or simply have more templates that improve the usability. So with a few clicks, you already obtain something more advanced. I'm worried because I know many, but I probably if I start to mention a few vendors, I will forget someone else, and I will not like that. So just look at the last few charts that have been released on App Source. There are many charts that are very powerful.
Yep. And then there was a bunch of comments in the chat. Deneb Visual, I think, has had the most. I did see Charticulator, one item for Info River. So so there are a lot of options there. And
Deneb,
I know Deneb
is very good. Yeah, Deneb.
Yep. So definitely check that out.
Yep.
All right. Cool. And then there was... all right, Mike's got one here. Struggle with data models with the fact table and dimension like a date table where I have many-to-many relationships. When I do bridge tables, I have one N and N1 instead of the wished N1 and one N. So it's kind of reversed.
Get it, though.
So
I get it.
I'm trying to... So I think you should review, and I have an article and a full video about exactly this topic. You're talking about two different types of relationships. The many-to-many cardinality relationship is what you have in Power BI, and it's a name that we don't like because actually it covers a case that is not what many-to-many relationships between dimensions has been used for many years in the business intelligence world. When you have a many-to-many relationship between two dimensions, you usually have two one-to-many and many-to-one relationship with a bridge table in the middle, and the bridge table has data that come from the data source. Whereas when you use the many-to-many cardinality relationship, you basically connect two tables that don't share a column that is a key in the dimension for the relationship. So you cannot create a one-to-many relationship, you create a many-to-many relationship. The many-to-many cardinality relationship could be obtained by using a bridge table, which is the unique values of the column that you have in the relationship, and it will obtain exactly the same result. It's just faster, but only for large amount of data in that column. The article covers this pretty well, but the thing is, you have to use what you need for the model. Don't be... These are two different things. Depending on what you want to do, you have to use either one or the other. It's not that the one replaces the other. There are two different things. Yeah.
It depends. It depends. I was waiting
for you to
say it. I was waiting for you to say it. But I'm confused, though, because... Go back. Can you go back to the question, Adam? Because I think easily. There's a smaller thing where he was saying there's a many-to-many. For example, there's a many-to-many between the fact and the date table. And usually with the date table, I mean, the date is the key. So I'm confused, right? I get everything you're saying, right? With the bridge table and all this, but I rarely have a problem with my date table not having a key on it. So I don't know if that's an underlying issue or something like that, but I saw that and I'm like, date table, there's some problems with your date table if you have multiple dates on where you can't do the one on the date side. So you probably should take a look at that also, Mike.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Let's go. So let's see here. Developer's got one. In a composite model, any general recommendations on connecting a dimension to dimension or dimension to fact when the dimension and the fact are in different models? Does it make any difference to the formula engine storage engine?
I think I have an unplugged video about this topic that I recorded a while ago, and the general idea is that as a data modeling principle, you should connect dimensions. And the reason is not the performance. The reason is that if you have two models, you have to assume that one model has measures that have been designed for that model without knowing whether someone later would have connected some other tables from some other models reusing the existing measure. So if you create a measure today in your model, you can make assumption about, oh, user filters the dimension, doesn't filter the fact table directly. And you could use this assumption to create your measure, to check the filter, to do something. If all of a sudden you inject a filter, creating a connection to the fact table, you can easily get wrong results from measures that have been designed with the assumption that the user would have never filtered the fact table directly. And this is the biggest and most important reason. From a performance point of view, there is an advantage in using the dimension, but it's smaller compared to the previous discussion. And basically, the performance mainly depends on the number of unique values you have in the column that you connect. So usually, if you have, for example, a product table or a customer table, you don't want to connect the product key or the customer key. You want to connect the product brand, the product category, or the customer country. You want to connect between the two data sources. You want to connect a column that has only tens or hundreds of unique values, not millions. And because otherwise the performance will be horrible.
Yes, yes, I agree. Definitely have to be careful with those. All right, Tushar. How to optimize my data when I have 5 tables and 5 fiscal years with approximately 50,000 rows in each table?
You have a small model, but I don't understand why you have 5 tables. No, I'm just saying that if you have 5 tables for fiscal year,
but I think is it
5
a table
years,
for each fiscal,
right?
But Marco, is it a
one
table for each fiscal year? Yeah, and they just need to put them
append the tables in
on
a single table.
Yeah.
Create a single table with 250,000 rows.
Yeah.
Your life is easier.
Yeah, Donald, for 50,000, why bother?
No, but it's a good point though, because I think it's fiscal year 1, fiscal year 2, fiscal year 3. They're each tables, and so in Power Query or in your source, do a union in your source, or append them together, and then have one date table that has a fiscal year column.
Or import them all and then do like a calculated table where we can bring them all together.
Yeah, but if you can do this, this is a typical thing. If you use a calculated table, you pay the price of the table twice. So if you can do this transformation in Power Queries,
my sarcasm was lost on Marco.
Okay, sorry.
And then
that's why Matthew always brings it up. He's like, I don't think people get Adam's sarcasm, and that's why I'm trying to qualify that a little bit afterwards.
You had to, put a signal,
like a big
right?
red, like sarcasm.
Yeah, a big red alert. Yeah, something like that.
Chris, troll. Oh, Marco was about to go off on that too.
Do it in the source. Do it in the source if you can. Do it in the source.
Do your transformations as far upstream as possible, as far downstream as necessary. Okay. So let's see here. Newbie Eyes got a question for Marco. What Power BI feature are you looking forward to seeing that you can talk about that's not under NDA? I added that last part, by the way.
I know. I should ask Adam. Did you announce this and that? And so
I didn't announce anything.
No, Michael.
I know.
No, I think that.
Say on stream, Adam. Did you announce Blood Ever? And I'm like, well, Marco just did.
What?
Nothing.
Okay. No, I think that there are so the features I like. The features I like are those that impact the way we write DAX language or the data model, and I think that there are interesting features in the next few months and years that we will like to use. And so basically, okay, I can say that the reason why we're not writing the 3rd edition of the definitive guide to DAX is because we wait for more features for DAX.
Yeah.
Okay.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Thomas, I'm confused. Or calculation groups in Power BI Desktop. Thomas is excited for. So
it's already here, and yeah.
Well, I think what he means is the ability to create calculation groups directly in Power BI Desktop, as opposed to having to go to Tabular Editor.
I personally think that the priority should be improving the usability, the consumption experience of calculation groups. Because if you provide an editor for the calculation groups as they are now, I don't think it's a game changer. What is missing, there are 2-3 key features that are missing in the consumption experience, which are very important. For example, you cannot mix an arbitrary set of measures and calculation items in a single visual. That would be absolutely critical. Imagine you want the year-to-date for one measure, but not for other 2 measures in the same matrix. Simple as that. You cannot. Default selection for a calculation group would be very useful. Just these 2 features will be a big game changer, because today calculation groups are under delivery what they could have done. So yeah, this is important.
Yep. All that being said, one thing I'm excited about is a modeling experience inside of the web. Coming out in December. Now Marco, I know. Hang on. I'm gonna qualify that with a little bit and say I'm excited to see what it will actually do. If it's actually a complete experience, then I'm really excited. But but it's also something to say we're getting closer and closer. It's a journey to get to that web experience to where you don't necessarily need Power BI Desktop. It's a little more portable. It can be used on things like Mac or other things, which I know a lot of companies struggle with.
I just want to comment my expression. I completely understand the expectation. I completely understand the desire for that. But I hope that people will set the right expectations. It is you have a limit. The speed of the light is a limit we are not able to, go over, right? We cannot go faster than the speed of the light. And the web experience is going to increase the latency, which is because of the speed of the light. In a set of communication that today happens on the same machine, it will be slower, not faster than Power BI Desktop, just to set the right expectation. Right? So,
it's fair.
And I think that people don't realize this. And what could work for 10 measures and 5 tables will certainly not work for 100 tables and 1,000 measures, for sure.
Yep.
Unless there is a change in other parts that are more complex to do that will also benefit Power BI Desktop, but we're not there.
Yep. No, I agree. Nice. All right. Also, so we got another super chat from Alexander. I don't see it in my thing. Where did it go? Hang on. That did not come up. Why is it not coming up? I don't see it.
Do you want me?
I'll just I'll read it. I don't have it to bring up on the screen. I'm trying to load 10 million rows of facts from analysis services data mart into Power BI. I get the error timeout value 600 seconds. What do I do? I mean,
sorry, from analysis services or from the data mart? I don't understand.
Trying to load 10 million rows of facts. So
are they connecting to analysis services?
I think they're doing a live connection, and it's a 600 second timeout on the query, is what I think.
Well,
okay, so the problem could be the following. Okay. So if you have an existing analysis services model and you are trying to get the data out of that model to populate another model, for example, in Power BI. So you are actually exporting data from analysis services and importing data to Power BI. There could be a timeout in the connection that could be changed in the connection string of analysis for the connection of analysis services, but I have no idea how to do this in the connection string for analysis services created by Power BI service. I'm not sure you can do that.
I think there's an underlying thing there. My question here is why?
Why?
Oh. Like if we're actually importing from analysis services into Power BI, why are we doing that?
Maybe that you have this data on premises, for example, and so you have a gateway and you try to upload this data in another data source. It's something I did, so I understand the problem.
Well, but I guess I'm curious, why not? So first off,
no, he said that's correct too. He said that's correct.
Yeah. So why not just do a live connection to the on-prem source for one? I don't know what the performance is on that.
I understand, but to answer, so of course, it would be better if you don't copy the data.
Yes.
That said, one way to work around this, so if you cannot change the timeout in the connection string, you can try a simple operation, which is split the data into 10 partitions. If you use a tabular editor, you can do that. Or if you use Power BI Desktop, use the incremental refresh to do the loading over 10 partitions. And you say, Marco, but I don't have the date. Well, I mean, just create a fictitious date that, I mean, you have to create something that seems 10 different dates, which are actually another way to partition the data. You expose this data so that from the Power BI perspective, you have 10 different partitions in 10 different years or months, and then you start the incremental refresh. Power BI will create the partitions for you, even though you have only Power BI Pro.
So I don't think he has access to... I think he only has access to the AS
consuming
model.
it.
He doesn't have access to anything. He's just trying to get the data out of on-prem AS to import it into Power BI. I think that's what's going on. You know...
Well, so a couple things with that too is
he wants to add his own measures.
Yeah, you got to be careful with that though, especially when you have non-additive measures, and you got to know like what you're doing there. It's a tough spot.
It is tough.
You can create a composite model. You can create a composite model and create a calculated table.
That is not supported today with on-premises analysis services.
Oh, you're right.
So
until 2022.
Yeah.
It's in 2022.
But you can create. You can use the live connection. You can use the live connection as a source for Power Query, and then you write the DAX code as a query. What's the problem?
But I think that's where he's timing out. He's trying to get. He's trying to pull the data from AS, and then it's timing out. He's trying to, and that's where you were at the beginning. You were saying you can update the connection string, but I don't know how to do that with Power BI Desktop.
Partition the data. You have to partition the data. So create 10 different queries for 10 different partitions or 10 different tables and split the data.
Yeah. Do you see what he's saying, Alexander? So if the data's 10 years worth of data, create a query for each year maybe and import each year and then try to combine them some kind of way or something like that. I don't know if you got that, but anyway. That's a good one, Marco. That's a good one. Well, I'm not saying do it, but I never thought about doing it that way, though.
All right. Moving on. Sharon.
Hey, it's a solution. It's a solution, man. It's a solution.
Okay. Yeah. Sharon's, what use cases are appropriate for direct query? Look, I have a lot of cases when we're talking about large amounts of data, where it's just impractical to import it all. Is when we're going to start leveraging direct query in combination with other feature sets. That's an appropriate use case from my perspective.
Daniel says demos.
My personal opinion is that Power BI is not the best tool for that kind of analysis. So if you have such a large volume of data, using a client tool which has a semantic model that is supposed to be fast, and so it expects to, the entire user experience of Power BI is designed to be interactive. And when you have a direct query with such a large amount of data, you can forget the interaction. So you have to do something and then go to get a coffee, get your tea, and so on. So that's fine. I mean, you can have a lot of fun waiting for the answer, but I think that there are other technologies and tools to do this.
Yeah.
So, but I don't know. It's just me.
Yeah, Mason commented that he has one of those data sets. I absolutely agree. Every time I hear like those types of scenarios, I immediately think of Mason, only because I know I've worked with him outside of this. But yeah.
I think the challenge we face with direct query is a lot of us just give up when report consumers say we need real-time data. You got to go back and talk to those report consumers, right? Real time. We need real time. If you're doing analytics, do you really need real time? We're not talking about.
What does real time mean?
Yeah.
So my answer for real time is simple. With my consultant hat, I say, okay, no problem. Which latency is good for you?
Yes. Yep. Yeah. What are your requirements?
And you tell me the number. I tell you the number of zeros that you have to write in the check. It's easy. So the lower the latency, the larger the check. It's easy. So import mode is effective because it's cheap. It's actually a way to save money. You need to throw money after the window. Let's go direct query, no problems. I'm excited to get the money out of the window. That I would be just there, out of the window, gathering the money, no problem. I'm ready.
Yeah, the real time, the only time real time really comes into play is going to be on like device telemetry, like IoT type stuff. Yeah. That's where you're going to see it. Yeah. But even then, I don't know that you're going to go necessarily direct query versus like a live streaming tile coming off of event hubs or something like that. Like it's a weird. Yeah.
I think that people don't realize the complexity of direct query.
Yes.
If you want to talk 30 seconds seriously about the problem, you have a report with 4 visuals, right? Let's say that you need direct query. You need is vital for your analysis to get real-time data. Now you have a problem because if one visual is refreshed and the other three are not, the data is not synchronized.
Yes.
How do you manage that? Because you know what? Depending on the action you do in Power BI, you might have a partial update because Power BI doesn't know that other data have been updated underneath. So how can you make sure that the data will be refreshed in a consistent mode? I have no idea. So
oh my gosh. So Pop Beater just said a report with 59 visuals in 1 minute refresh. I would look at that. That is not.
It's fast. It's very fast. I mean, 1 minute for 59 visuals is good. Is direct query is fantastic.
Well,
very fast.
I don't know if it all refreshes in 1 minute or his requirement is that it refreshes in 1 minute. That doesn't say. But that makes me nervous. The minute you say 59 visuals, that makes me really nervous.
I know.
So, yeah. Oof. Just because the challenge people need to understand also, and they don't think about every time we talk to someone about this, they're always like, oh really? Is that when you're doing direct query, really this happens if you're doing import as well, you just don't necessarily care about it, is each visual is potentially going to end up sending one or more queries from the storage engine perspective. And in case of direct query, your storage engine is your data source. And so it becomes very chatty very quickly, and 59 visuals, that's a lot. So it's got to perform. And if it does perform and you're throwing money at that and it's working, more power to you. But just understand the architecture of it. So, okay. All right. So gonna go to the next one. Also mindful of time here. Yeah, I know. I'm going to the super chat.
Super chat.
All right. Tomas got a super chat. Why name of is only available in import models? Generally speaking, why are we so limited to options under live connection? I'll throw direct query in there as well.
I think that the problem, I'm not sure. I mean, name of is available in Azure Analysis Services, and it will be available in Analysis Service 2022, even though for the last one, I'm not entirely sure. The problem of the live connection, it limits the features to the backend server. So if you're connecting to on-prem Analysis Services 2019 server, you have the features that you had 3 years ago on Analysis Services. You don't have the features that have been released in the last 2 years, for example, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't, when they said live connection also, so that made me, that's interesting on the live piece, unless they're confusing live with direct query. So from a direct query standpoint, I don't know if that's actually enabled or not.
I think that it should work because name off is
I
just.
gotta go test it.
Yeah.
I think it
It's
should
just the
work
name of
with
the
direct
column
query.
measure,
I don't
right?
see any reason why it shouldn't work with direct query.
The thing I know about some of the DAX functions, though, is and this is where it depends comes in, is because, well, at least it depends of the functions or not, if they were actually coded properly. So just because it should work doesn't mean it will work. So that's one of those things where you have to verify, like, yeah, just throw it depends in there.
Well, okay.
Sure, why not?
Okay.
So that's one of those things that we need to verify, like did it actually translate back or what's going on? Because I also know that when composite models came out, we used to have restrictions on specific DAX functions that they just wouldn't work. Like they flat out would error out when you tried to use them in direct query. Time intelligence is one of the big ones that comes to mind on that. But we removed those explicit blocks when composite models came out. And so, like, there's things that it could get funky when it actually tries to translate to the actual query. Speaking purely from a direct query standpoint, not the live connection piece.
Yep.
So, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Chris didn't know about that. Yeah. Like, it doesn't actually block you anymore, but it doesn't perform well either. So, yeah. So, all right. All right. We are over time. Whew.
Yeah,
time goes by fast, and there's still a lot of questions in the queue.
Adam, there is one comment I want to.
Yeah.
Even though it will be 30 minutes long to answer. I have seen a comment before asking why in direct query. So talking about direct query, right? So a common question is why Power BI generates many queries instead of just one SQL query.
Yeah.
And
which I commented on that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the problem is that conceptually you have a report made by different visuals that has been designed with a model which is based on a columnar stored, which has been optimized for that and then has been applied to a relational database. And also to a relational database, you cannot create a single query to do everything. And if you try to do that, you still have the problem of many functions, many features that are not available in the on the backend, on SQL. It's a complex problem. So the moment you try to figure out what the SQL query should be for your requirement, you should realize it's not that simple. So there are cases where it could be easy, but if you think about the flexibility of the model you have, it is way more complex than that.
Yes.
Sorry, I had to.
You're fine. You're fine. All right. Also, Mark Walter, thank you so much for the super chat. Bam. Thanks for all the resources and taking the time to share. Appreciate that. Appreciate that. All right. Marco, always great, as always, to have you on the live stream. I love it. Had a ton of questions. Apologies, everyone, if we didn't get to your question. So it was, there were a lot. There's still a lot there. So we'd be here all day if we tried to get through all of them. And then also Donald coming in with a super chat. Also, thanks for signing my orange book, Marco.
Yep. The orange book is the data modeling.
Yes. Yep. So I still, and I need to figure out when Marco and I are going to be in the same place. And I forgot to bring it with me when you were up in Redmond, and we were there to sign my definitive guide to DAX book.
Are you going to Pass Summit?
I am. All right, we'll do it there.
Yes.
See you there.
We'll do it at Pass. All right. SQL Pass.
See you there.
Excellent. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for being with us. Great as always. Love the enthusiasm. Love the chat. Chat was amazing and bananas, as always. So, Patrick, any closing words of wisdom?
I got nothing today. All
right, Marco, any closing words of wisdom?
Enjoy DAX.
Enjoy DAX. Excellent. All right, everyone. We will have a great week ahead of you, and we will see you next Saturday. See you, everyone.
Bye.
Enjoyed that.
Living others' lives was like a holding Someone else's piece is on the board. You can never win. Try not to begin.